All right, so now that our skeleton is in a good spot, we can go into the skin menu over here and do edit weights. I think you might have to bind skin first. I'm not really sure. Let's try it. Yeah, it allows you just to like dive right in. So that's kind of cool. Um, people will have their own ways they like to weight. Mine is this. I like to just start with I kind of like to work from the center and out. And with a tool set like NG Skin, I tend to do things a little bit differently. But let's also go to all hierarchy so we can see our joints. And I'm going to go to right. And I'm going to make our joints a little bit bigger, something like that. All right, so spine 1, what I'm going to do is just grab a marquee select here. Let's make sure that it went through the back. It did. And replace. So should be able to see that we've got pelvis and spine weights now. We'll clean some of this stuff up, but for now this is fine. Spine 2, again, I'll just marquee with spine 2 selected, hit replace, and then lastly spine 3, do something like this and replace. Accept. I don't know why, but sometimes this display doesn't actually show that these things have weights for some reason. So let's go back to the brush tool, and this is where we can start. Let me get out of that mode. This is where we can start cleaning things up. So you can just go do relax. So we could just come in here and start relaxing some of this stuff. You might want to pose some of this so we can kind of see what this relax is going to do. Maybe I'll do this and then this. Go back into edit weights and just kind of relax some of this. I do feel like, where the tools are right now, this isn't a, bad thing or anything, but, the precision, I think you can definitely get precision by going into mesh and selecting vertices, but the like fast precision is not quite there yet. But there's some really nice stuff. Like you'll notice that like I don't my brush is clearly hitting the pants, but unlike in Maya where that would typically cause weight to spill onto them, it tends to do a good job of figuring that out. Um, and fix some of this up in here. Cool. So let's do spine up here. Get this looking better. The hotkey, holding down B and left click dragging left and right does work. Also B and left click dragging up and down will change the strength. So if I go up, you'll see that the strength increased. All right, so now we're on spine 3. I do wish there were some flood tools, like NG Skin Tools tends to have. That's pretty nice. I feel like you can just flood relax, and it does actually, it kind of just relaxes all influences on the mesh so that you don't have to do this. Maybe you can do that here. Oh, maybe you can. Let's see. Relax. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking for. That's kind of cool. There's like some pruning that you can do right there. So let's hit accept. Already, oh, except for these pens, things are not looking too bad. You can select in the outliner the skeleton tree, right click and do reset selected bone transforms if you want to get back. Oh, interesting. I thought I thought it was the weights, but no. That's just what those look like. Okay. Maybe that model is something we could fix as a last step. I didn't catch that before, but yeah, I think we could probably fix that. Let me just make sure. Yeah, as you can see, like things look pretty okay there. So it's just a strange model decision. Before I skin like this whole thing, though, I'm gonna kind of do it in pieces so that we can jump back and forth between the control rig editor and here. So let's just get like the spine going since we have the spine weighted. So I'm going to close this down, right click, and I think create modular rig. So let's open this up. And you'll see that at first we have this pelvis socket here, and it's asking us to drop the spine module. So let's go ahead and drag and drop. And I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but I've noticed that I always have to kind of like reparent these. They always kind of, when I drag it onto the socket, I have to parent it correctly. Now I can choose pelvis socket, and you see it like it automatically filled everything out. So if we go to details, you'll see that the pelvis bone is set to pelvis, spine 1, spine 2 is the end, but I think spine 3 would be better. And if we compile, now obviously we don't have any leg weights or IK, but you can see here that our spine is working. Now, some of the weights on this shirt part here are could use some work, so we'll go back and address that. Uh, One thing I do wish is that the hotkeys were more unified across all these. So here you can hit Control-Shift-G to reset all transforms, but I don't believe you can do that in the skeletal editor. That would be really cool if we could get to that, but let's go ahead and try to do this and then we'll fix these weights. So edit weights. Again, I'm just going to go back to brush for this one and let's just relax this stuff. That's already looking quite better. So let's go ahead and hit accept. Let's see, does Control-Shift-G work? It does not. So yeah, you have to do the select and then right click, save that, and go back and open up our rig. And you know, if you've used Maya, oh no. All right, well, let's send and restart. Luckily I saved. It is a preview build after all. But you know, usually it's a little bit more. I mean, you can tend to go between these things in Maya, but it's I feel like it's a lot faster in this case, which is pretty cool. All right, so now that that's been fixed, also you see that like since we added in, there's something weird going on. I can't. I get this sometimes after a crash where I have to like reshut down the editor. Like my nothing on my mouse works. I don't know if anyone else ever has that, but it's a pretty weird thing. So let's go ahead and end Unreal Editor again and start it back up. All right. Hopefully we can open this up again. Cool. And I can rotate. Awesome. And you'll notice once we created the spine, these additional sockets showed up. I think like Human IK and some of those types of rigs tend to have this kind of thing. But now if we go ahead and do this, it's interesting. It looks a little bit different than it does in... Oh, it's because the spine module here, you'll notice we had 3 controls, but we have, or 3 joints, but 4 controls. If you go in here, if you click on these things over in the module hierarchy, you can get to details for that module. So let's see what we got here. Number of spine bones is 3. So these should, they still don't quite line up with the bones, but I think there's another option for that. We can turn off even IK controls. It didn't actually do what I would have expected. Even so, I think that's all right. But yeah, you can tweak your rig settings in here for that module. So these are all the things that are available to us. Even IK controls. Maybe I wonder if we need to crank this back up and then go back. And let's go back to 4. I think what you can maybe do is, let's see here. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm not entirely sure. You know, the proxy thing. I know that there's a proxy or a pivot proxy module, but I don't know what a lot of this stuff is. So I'll have to look that stuff up at some point. What does this do? Cool. So I haven't tried this, and hopefully it's somewhat stable, but let's give it a shot. So we have this working. That's pretty cool. Let's open up the Skell Mesh, and I'm going to try to activate cloth paint. I guess first we need to select our shirt in here, right click, create clothing data. I'm going to call it shirt and create. Now we can activate our cloth paint tool. And can we... No. Okay. I was going to see if the brush hotkeys worked in here, but they also don't. So let's do small radius. Actually, let's go back to a big one so I can just flood this back to having no weight. So now I'll do a small radius of like 5. And right now we're painting max distance. So we're just painting how far these things can move. I believe that, let's do the fall off a little bit smaller. Or sorry, a little bit bigger. I believe that if you do view min and view max, and maybe someone can correct me if this is wrong, that 100 here means that you're going to move 100 centimeters. That's the, so if you painted white and your view max is at 100, your max distance is going to be 100 centimeters. And I believe if we do, I think you can do show max distance. Yes. So right now, nothing. But if we paint, still nothing. Paint value is 0, that's why. So let's see here. Can we get... Also, I believe you can... I thought that you could put some of these things up on the... as a button on the board, but maybe not all this stuff works. I thought it was like shift, but yeah, sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't. I'm not really sure the display stuff, but my goal here was to essentially create a little bit of some cloth motion, just not over the whole thing, but just kind of like on the ends. So maybe something like this. Also, this shirt like sticks out, so this could give us. Now we can go to smooth and just do this. If we deactivate enable cloth simulation, I feel like we should see stuff. Oh, we do need to set up the cloth config. That might be why, but even with the default, we should still be seeing some stuff. Yeah, this is strange. That should have done something. Oh, I think I know why. I always forget there's like a two-step process to this. You have to right-click and apply the clothing data. Now we can see our max distances. Right, so, and boy, was that a mistake. Let's turn that stuff off. All right, cool. So now, yeah, you can see things are kind of working. Let's go back to activate cloth paint. And instead of doing what I had done before, I'm going to set the paint value to 0 and just flood everything again. And then we're going to test that theory. So let's say that we only want this stuff to move like 20 centimeters. And we do a paint value. Where'd my paint value go? Yeah. So I believe if you do clothing max distances, wow, that seems wrong. Okay, there you go. It's not. So now you can see how far these things can travel. It's much smaller. I'm not sure why though. Oh, maybe it's the strength. Yeah, that's why. Auto view range. There we go. That's better. And let's do a little bit more than that. Let's do like 40. I'm going to go ahead and turn off max distances. It does seem to be slowing things down in the viewport quite a bit. I'll just do this. Oops. I want to make sure I get like the edges, and then I'll smooth up here. Which, when you do auto view range, that will make it look a little bit better. All right. Cool. So now we can see that things are moving a little bit. We don't have any physics set up on this, but so we'll add the collision, but yeah, we might want to do more or less. Maybe we want to increase the max distance. But this gives us some cool like folding and stuff, which could be better. But again, haven't really touched the cloth config yet, so. But yeah, I think that could be pretty cool. So you get the idea. I think I'll continue doing this as well. Control Shift G to reset. and in future videos, but it's basically more of the same. I'm going to probably next I'll do the legs, and then I'll do the arms and the neck and head. Then we'll get some animation on this guy, and that will be pretty fun. But I'll call that for this one.